What's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That is right. We are back. We are back. We are back. The Boxing Source Midweek Report is back. Had a little bit of a hiatus here over the previous week. Had to take care of a few things. Went over to the West Coast, doing some work, and also had attended a boxing card in Sacramento, California. There. So, I had, saw a few fights out there in Sacramento. That was a good little experience there. It was like at like an Embassy Suites out there in Sacramento, California. That's right, Sacramento, California, and I was able to see a few fighters out there that were able to, either, show their stuff or, either, get some experience in, you know what I'm saying? Now, thing about it is, you had a pro debut on that one. We had Steve Johnson, multiple time national champion, was able to have his pro debut in this fight card. You also saw Victor Guerrero, yes, of the Guerrero family, that was part of it. You had Kevin Montano, which undefeated, also was part of that card. You had like a few other fights that did take part of this fight card. So definitely was a good little thing there. I mean, you didn't really have fights that were longer than 6 rounds in that fight card, but still was able to have a few good things happen on that. And we that's something there that was a good little experience. Sometimes you got to go out to some of these fight cards that are either out there in like like I said, in Sacramento or small towns or whatever like that. If you've been following the Boxing Source, I'm part of Midweek Radio, that channel on YouTube, and that Joe has been there in the San Antonio area, and they've had numerous fights in San Antonio. So you could have them fight cards in San Antonio. What else? Like Philadelphia, DC area. That's not necessarily a big fight or whatever it is, like an MGM, National Harbor, or over in Capital One Arena. Like if you go to those entertainment and sports arena shows, out in DC, that's something there to catch too. If you in the DC area, DMV, they got one of them shows coming up here too in February, so you check that out. But that's how you support boxing. It's not just ordering pay-per-views or watching what's on ESPN or ESPN Plus or Showtime, last year, or what's going to be happening on Amazon Prime, but just supporting those shows that, that are out there in your area or, close to your area. You know what I'm saying? You also have those things on BXNG.TV too, so that's how you support the sport of boxing. Shout out to Android here. Yep, you're able to, catch me live and not, at the end of a podcast of the Midweek Report. So good thing you're able to join in live here with me right now. But yeah, what I'm here for. We're going to, try to knock down a few things, knock down a few topics here in the sport of boxing. We've had some things that have been brought up in the sport, a bunch of rumors in the sport of boxing that have been brought up. So, wanted to give my take on some of these things and, also see, what some of y'all may say about it. If you're, able to chop it up live or, if y'all leave a comment after this thing is done, you know what I'm saying? But here we go, yo. I mean, we got, this whole thing in Android, like I said, Android's been in the building. We've been, communicating on what's been going down in the sport of boxing. And one of the stories that we've been, following over the past few months or the past couple of months is what's going on with Premier Boxing Champions or, with, TGB Promotions. Of course, they had their news about having their content or most of their content being on Amazon Prime. They announced that they will have multiple events that will be on Amazon Prime, and it's going to be starting in March. That was what was reported, as of last month. Now, the thing is, it's like we have seen a couple of things that kind of been leaked out or leaked around in reference to what could be the first event that would be under the PBC banner on Amazon Prime, or PBC on Prime, as some have said. Now, one of those has been something mentioning a fighter that is a world champion in the 154-pound division. And yes, I'm talking about Tim Tszyu, who's had a few fights in 2023, few good performances in 2023. His last one against Brian Mendoza, where he was able to defend the WBO super welterweight title, and he was able to win that by decision. And after that fight, he said that he planned on having his next bout in the U.S. Now, last year it was originally planned for him to face Jermall Charlo in Las Vegas. That was supposed to be last January, but we've seen that, with Charlo, he suffered an injury at that time, and then by the time he was able to recover, we seen him against Canelo Alvarez last September. So now that leaves Tim Tszyu. At least he has a world title. Amazing that some people don't say he's an email champ, but that's a whole nother story. But still, Tim Tszyu's there undefeated, and he is, looking for an opponent to have there for his next bout. Now, over the previous week and a half, the news has pretty much been that it would have been Tim Tszyu going up against Erickson Lubin. Yes, Erickson Lubin, has been a world title challenger. He's, built his way back up in the 154-pound division, scored a big win there over Jesus Ramos Jr. in September by decision. Some people felt that he lost the fight, but, I was there live. I thought he did enough to win that fight. So, he's back in the mix there in the 154-pound division. Now, thing about it is that with Erickson Lubin, it was rumored that he would be the likely opponent for Tim Tszyu. And that would be, who Tim Tszyu would face there, as Tim Tszyu would defend that WBO title. But now, you've had some things be leaked out. I don't know if it was like IFL TV or some other thing like that was saying that, well, you see that Erickson Lubin has turned down the fight, so it looks like Tim Tszyu is looking for other opponents. Well, think about it it's like Erickson Lubin's like, wait a minute, hold up, cuz, wait a minute, what y'all talking about? I didn't say anything about turning down the fight. In fact, the matter is, he said that they were waiting to see like what the date was going to be, for the fight that he was going to have against Tim Tszyu. So, for Erickson Lubin to, get that thing coming and kind of like say, hey, where y'all talking about? You know what I mean? That was wild, and then, that's the thing about it is that he said, what was going on. And then his trainer followed up, Kevin Cunningham, say, how did Erickson Lubin turn down the fight that was never formally offered? So that was something there that, that was weird. But yeah, that report that came out, that was from Nick Walshaw. Just had to, confirm that, where it came from. It came from Nick Walshaw. To be honest, I don't know who Nick Walshaw is. I really don't. I don't. But for him to post that Lubin turned down the Tszyu fight, yeah, that kind of was questionable. And with Kevin Cunningham saying that this boxing, I think it said like Australian boxing or something like that. They said that they got some bad sources. But with that being said, if it's not going to be Erickson Lubin as the opponent for Tim Tszyu, and as of yesterday, Tim Tszyu had posted on his Twitter, he says big names only. Well, seems like a name has been mentioned as an opponent for Tim Tszyu. It's a big name, for many, a notable name for many. But the thing about it is, this big name hadn't necessarily been at super welterweight. This big name made his name at another weight division. This big name, former world champion, former unified world champion. And I don't know if y'all, looked at the, those jumping in here that looked at the, the cover photo for this midweek report thing. Pretty much had a shadow of that person that would be rumored as the opponent for Tim Tszyu. And that person is the former unified welterweight champion, Keith one-time Thurman. Yep. Keith Thurman has been mentioned as the opponent for Tim Tszyu. That will be in March. And the other thing about this is that the date had pretty much been set aside, and it looks like it's going to be, looks like TGB Promotions, has, reserved a couple of dates in March. But the thing that looks like it's more or closer to a lock is going to be Saturday, March 30th, 2024. And I'm saying that it's going to be Las Vegas, Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. That will be the event there for Las Vegas on March 30th. Now, that is the rumor. I heard this, as of last week or last weekend. And when I heard it, I was taken aback by it because Tim Tszyu, is there as a WBO champ. You would think that, he would try to look for, a fight with, potentially somebody like, Terrence Crawford, or, maybe still try to pursue the fight with Jermall Charlo, or I don't know, Errol Spence, or, even Virgil Ortiz Jr. Like Virgil Ortiz Jr. was mentioned as an opponent or potential opponent for Tim Tszyu. Virgil Ortiz, mentioned that he would have liked to fight Tim Tszyu. And as of a couple of days ago, Virgil Ortiz Jr. was added on to the WBO rankings at 154 pounds. So, yeah, Virgil Ortiz Jr. could have been a potential opponent for Tim Tszyu, but not as of right now. And it looks like, Erickson Lubin is not in the cards because, some folks that, leak out news or whatever it is, sometimes it's something to kind of like set up what is going to be the actual opponent for the guy that's, being mentioned or the main topic. So when they released that news of Tim Tszyu and they said that Erickson Lubin turned down the fight with Tim Tszyu, that was wild. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's an interesting fight. Hey, shout out to Just Do Boxing in the building. Just Do Boxing, putting in work here on the YouTube. Y'all catch his lives on his YouTube channel. He just, had one. He just, finished with his with a very interesting topic that's out there in the rumor mill too that people are talking about, but we don't know if that's locked in yet. But if y'all hit up Just Do Boxing here on YouTube as well. Shout out to Just Do Boxing. But back on to it with Tim Tszyu. Like you had this thing, a report or whatever it is that's on Twitter, and that was just weird that would come out, and then Erickson Lubin says, "Hey, wait a minute, yo, we didn't get no We didn't get nothing like that. So how you gonna say that, we turned down a fight with Tim Tszyu, and that we withdrew it from negotiations? Like, where does that come from? You know what I'm saying? That was just weird, So I'm gonna see if I could, let me see if I could share that joint here, man. Where it's at? All right, here it is. Bam. Let's see if we can check this out here. Uh, yeah, there it goes. So you had this thing here from Augs Boxing. It said Erickson Lubin has withdrawn from negotiations to face Tim Tszyu in March. As a result, Tszyu's representatives will turn their attention to Terrence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz, with both expressing interest traveling to Australia. That was what, as of the other day, right? And then Erickson Lubin and them, right? He said, "Hey, it's like, hold up, whoa, what are y'all talking about? We ain't getting no offers. We ain't getting none of that. So we're talking about that. We're turning down a fight with Tim Tszyu. We're waiting on a date. I mean, if y'all wanted to, have a fight, we like, all right, bet. What's the date? So they're like, they were basically getting blindsided. Erickson Lubin and his team was getting blindsided by that news that was being posted out that Lubin had turned down, the fight. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, okay, if Tim Tszyu's not fighting Erickson Lubin, then what? Because that was basically the plan. It looked like Tim Tszyu was going to face Erickson Lubin and have the defense of that WBO super welterweight title. So I'm like, okay, if it's not them, then who? But like I said, like I heard over the weekend that it was going to be Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman, and I'm like, that's weird. Yeah, it's an interesting fight, but that's weird. Now, I've heard from folks that are over in the Florida area, over there out in the Tampa Bay area, that Keith Thurman has been, working out in camp. And thing about it is that AV's in camp, then he's working on something. I mean, we thought that Keith Thurman was going to fight Iamana Stanionis, therefore Stanionis's WBA regular belt, but it seems like that has kind of all but disappeared. So if Keith Thurman's currently in camp, like, who would he be in camp for? Well, that's the thing. I gotta wait to see like what's going to be that, but yeah, the thing with Tim Tszyu, if he defends this belt against Keith Thurman in March, that would be wild. I would like, that would kind of come out of left field. At least, as of right now, as I mentioned before, Virgil Ortiz Jr. had mentioned that he would like to fight Tim Tszyu, and they added Virgil Ortiz Jr. on the WBO rankings. But as of right now, they don't have Keith Thurman on no WBO rankings. So, and how things go sometimes when they have fights that could be mentioned or are potentially happening. They'll add a fighter on the rankings the month before the fight's supposed to be taking place. So that could still be a possibility there with Keith Thurman. Shout out to Juice in the building here, joining us on the Boxing Talk, man. Salute to you, man. Salute to you. But I'm still kind of like surprised that would be the potential fight, or the fight for Tim Tszyu in March 30th. We would have to like see, what is it, by next month or something like that, if they're going to add Keith Thurman on those rankings. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all I see is Keith Thurman still on the WBA rankings at welterweight. I don't see him anywhere on the WBO rankings for welterweight. I don't see him, especially like I said, I don't see him on there for super welterweight WBO. I do see Erickson Lubin ranked at number 2. I do see Virgil Ortiz Jr., ranked at number 6. But nope, I don't see anywhere where Keith Thurman is on the WBO rankings. So to have, somebody like that, kind of like be a potential opponent, for Tim Tszyu, that is wild. That is wild. You know what I'm saying? I just can't understand that. You know what I'm saying? But that's a wild thing there. But I say I don't know, man. Let's see. Hey, Sid's in the building, man. Yeah, he says hope Al Heyman drops ego and flies to Saudi. The Sheik guarantee purchase as long as it could be made, it could be awesome. Can't be rely on just Amazon with just a huge roster. Well, the thing about it is, as an advisor, Heyman has already, released some fighters that have fought on different cards, over the years. And, last year, that's happened a couple of times. I mean, you've seen Stephen Fulton fight, Naoya Inoue, And the thing with Deontay Wilder, he was able to sign, with promotional company, for that short term in order for him to have the fight against Joseph Parker. So the thing with Heyman Boxing or the management group there is that they will allow, fighters to fight on other, networks and, fight on other fight cards. It's just how many will, they be able to do. Now, yeah, they can't. Now, the thing about, with the relying on just Amazon, that's the other thing too. Will they have another network to pick up some of these other fighters or some of these other fights? Because remember the news that they released was that they would have, up to 14 events or 14 total events, there for the year. No, they're not going to be all pay-per-view, but the thing about it is that, if you go by what they were on previously, you have the Showtime pay-per-view, you have Showtime Championship Boxing, you have Showbox. What about those events that were on Showbox? You had, PBC fighters on that too, So how are you going to handle those, type of events? Where are those events going to go? So we gotta, figure all of that out. Nope. 30th March, Tank's on the card. How can they afford Thurman or Ortiz on the card? Nope. Like I said, the thing about it is what they have right now is going to be Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. That is the news that's been floating around, that it could be Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman to start as their first event on Amazon. The thing with Tank Davis is going to be later on, as in it could be April for Tank Davis. And yes, I will kind of expound on that a little bit more there. If y'all didn't catch Just Do Boxing, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. So you're not going to have Tank on the card and have Keith Thurman or, Virgil Ortiz on the card. And the thing about it is, too, Virgil Ortiz Jr., he's still there with Golden Boy, and he's probably the biggest fighter they have that has the best relationship with Golden Boy, because we all know about what's going on with Ryan Garcia and Oscar De La Hoya. So, that's the thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like I said, I explained the thing with Al Heyman and a lot of the fighters that are under his advisement, that they've been under multiple cards under their promotional companies. It's not just with TGB Promotions. I feel you, Sid. That's why. When I was told this, I was like, yeah, this is coming out of left field. I didn't think that, Thurman, would be a suggestion for an opponent for Tim Tszyu. But kind of like looks like that. But I mean, even on top of that, like I said, Keith Thurman is Keith Thurman. When's the last time Keith Thurman been in the ring, y'all? When's the last time Keith Thurman been in the ring, y'all? Mario Barrios. He had to fight with Mario Barrios, right? And ever since then, Mario Barrios is now the WBC interim welterweight champion with his win over Yordenis Ugas last September. So you've had a few things, go around in the welterweight division while Keith Thurman has been sitting around. And for him to get back in the ring after that long of a hiatus and to go up against a Tim Tszyu, WBO super welterweight champion, a fighter that had been active in 2023 with what, 3 fights? You had the Brian Mendoza fight. You had Tony Harrison, right? And who else was it? He had what was the other dude that he beat up? That was an easy fight. Carlos Ocampo, right? 1 round KO. So he had 3 fights in 2023, and now he's now gonna get back into the ring and could be facing a Keith Thurman when he was looking for potentially Terrence Crawford or Virgil Ortiz Jr. But like I said, with the with what's going down, with that story that came out from AUS boxing with Aussie boxing or something, that kind of like seems like that almost seems like a PR move in a sense when you say that Erickson Lubin turned down the Tim Tszyu fight, and Erickson Lubin and his trainer said, what do you mean turned down? We were waiting on what's going to be the offer. So, who knows? But, like I said, looks like Tim Tszyu could be facing Keith Thurman. But like I said, that's the rumor. That's what this show is. This particular show is a boxing rumor show. This is not the rumor report. This is the midweek report. Shout out to MVO. But I'm really like on the fence as to if that fight would really take place. You know what I'm saying? Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. And that would be Keith Thurman's first fight at 154. Yeah, that would be wild if that happens. They will probably have a few other fights that would be set up to take place there on March 30th. It would be Las Vegas. Most likely either MGM Grand Garden Arena, or maybe like what was it, Mandalay Bay, Michelob Ultra Arena in Mandalay Bay. We'll probably host that event on March 30th. But like I said, they still have these things that are being held. As far as like the date, TGB Promotions has held the dates or is holding dates on March 2nd, March 23rd, and March 30th. But it's likely that they're only going to hold on to the date of March 30th there. So March 30th, that's what it looks like. It could be Tim Tszyu, because Tim Tszyu, like he mentioned after his win over Brian Mendoza, that he said that he wanted to fight in the U.S. So he wanted to have that big fight type of thing in Las Vegas. So that would kind of like be his opportunity. He would be fighting in Las Vegas, potentially against Keith Thurman, even though I'm like, why Keith Thurman? But that's what it's looking like. It's not looking like it's going to be Erickson Lubin. I know that some people are mentioning Terrence Crawford. Nah, it won't be Terrence Crawford. That one, I might touch on that here a little bit later with Terrence Crawford. Won't be Terrence Crawford. Won't be Virgil Ortiz Jr. At least not that fast. Virgil Ortiz, just got off of his win, so he's not gonna get in the ring against Tim Tszyu within 2 months of his last fight. That ain't happening. So Tim Tszyu getting in the ring, once again, and then against Keith Thurman, like I don't know, man. That would kind of like be. That's almost like I can't say it. I can't say it. Not for Keith Thurman. It's Keith Thurman, man. He's a competitor. He's a guy that wants to entertain, wants to show out, and everything like that. But this one here just doesn't smell right. You know what I'm saying? Don't smell right. All right. But that's what I got on that, man. Y'all can share your thoughts on that potential matchup, here later on down the line. We don't know if it's going to be confirmed or not, but that's just wild to me. Now, next up, you know what it is. May, you know how it is in May, around Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's a big weekend all across the board. And we know that usually on Cinco de Mayo weekend, yep, it is Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan. He would be in the ring, right? Yeah, I did say his government name. But it looks like we're leaning towards more of him having an opponent locked in for that date. And it's looking like he's kind of keeping his word on what he planned to do. And that is to face Jermall Charlo. Yep. Jermall Charlo is coming off a win over Jose Benavidez Jr. He was able to get, a decision victory over Jose Benavidez Jr. And that was November, right? That was part of that David Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade event there in Las Vegas. But now it seems like Canelo, who was supposed to face Jermall Charlo last September, but that ended up getting scrapped because Jermall was dealing with issues, marital. Oops, did I say that? Was dealing with issues, within internal. You know what I'm saying? But it looks like all of that has been cleared up a little bit, and he was able to get in the ring and kind of like show his stuff there against Jose Benavidez Jr. You've seen some of the elements that he had, while he was a longtime WBC middleweight champion there. But we still had to sharpen. He still, may have to sharpen up a few things here and there. But while he's there with Coach Ronnie Shields, still over there in Houston, Texas, around the Houston area, he'll try to get himself fully back. But he'll be going up against Canelo Alvarez in May, and that would be May 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Saturday. Ooh, that's going to be a tall task for him. Now, the thing is, we don't know what Canelo is at this particular point of his career. Yeah, he said that he was really confident when he was facing Jermall Charlo. A number of people felt like Jermall Charlo really didn't give that much of a good effort against Canelo Alvarez. It almost seemed like, he wanted to get through those 12 rounds. Yes, he got knocked down, but he went down to one knee. And then after that, it didn't look like he was, really that much engaging against Canelo Alvarez. So if you have Jermall Charlo here, people would be hoping that it would make it more of a fight against Canelo Alvarez. And yeah, I know that some people are saying, man, Canelo should be facing David Benavidez. Something tells me that that's going to be the September bout for Canelo Alvarez. So you're going to have Canelo, like I said, he would face Jermall Charlo, then Jermall Charlo, and then David Benavidez to end it out. But, Jermall Charlo in May 4th, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. That would be, another big event of sorts there for boxing. And, Canelo would be defending the undisputed super middleweight titles. Now, maybe situations could change with the title situation. That is up to the sanctioning bodies. They haven't really, moved the needle or forced the hand of Canelo Alvarez while he's holding the super middleweight titles, which is kind of interesting. They kind of forced their hand when Canelo was holding most of the middleweight titles and had the WBC title stripped from him and had the IBF title stripped from him while he was at middleweight. But now that he's the undisputed super middleweight champion, we haven't really seen that with these sanctioning bodies. Kind of interesting there on that front. Yeah, you got, David Benavidez as the WBC interim champion. You got David Morrell Jr. as the WBA world champion, quote unquote. But you haven't seen the WBC or WBA kind of force their hand or kind of say, hey, this is your mandatory challenger. This is who you should be fighting next. If you don't fight him, then you'll be stripped of those titles. You haven't really heard that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Child Juice, man, he says, hey, I don't mind Big Charlo versus Canelo because I don't think Charlo has to be 100% to outbox and beat Munguia or whatever. My opinion. The thing too, Munguia, I might talk about that too. Yeah, Munguia was rumored as a potential opponent for Canelo Alvarez. I think it was ESPN Knockout or the Mexican version of ESPN that had put out, what was it, like last month or something like that, that Jaime Munguia would be an opponent for Canelo Alvarez, and it was likely the opponent for Canelo Alvarez as long as he was able to get past his bout against John Ryder that's coming up on Saturday. And I'm like, man, Jaime Munguia, come on. Nah. Jaime Munguia, like that would be the wildest thing if Jaime Munguia would end up being an opponent for Canelo Alvarez. And I doubt that that's going to be the case. I think, what happened, with Canelo Alvarez is that, he had his deal, that his 3-fight deal that was locked down with, Heyman and TGB or Premier Boxing Champions. And they had his first fight that was on, Showtime pay-per-view against Jermall Charlo. And so when the news was that, PBC had to leave Showtime and then got this deal with Amazon Prime, then they went ahead and they renegotiated or, seen what was going to be the plans for Canelo Alvarez. If they keep those dates for Canelo, May and September, then you'll see, 2 events for Amazon Prime, Prime pay-per-view, whatever it is, that'll involve Canelo Alvarez. And one of these is going to be, I'd say, potentially against Jermall Charlo. Now, the thing is, like I've called around, I've talked with people that have been close to the camp of Jermall Charlo, and I haven't really gotten the news that that is 100%. But before last year, I would like the same group had pretty much told me like when that fight between Canelo and Jermall Charlo, when that was pretty much confirmed, I pretty much like got that word before, things kind of, really got out there. So, here over the next, what is it? It's going to be over the next few days or so. I will be checking around for that, but that's looking like that's going to be the move for Canelo. Like he said before his fight with Jermall Charlo, he said, listen, I was going to originally face Jermall Charlo, but I still would like to have that fight. But let me just have this fight first with Jermall Charlo, and then if I get past this one, then I'll face Jermall next. Because that was his original opponent for September, was Jermall Charlo. So Jermall Charlo losing that particular date and that particular bout back then, that wasn't completely on Jermall, So he said, hey, see if you can get yourself fully back. Once you get yourself in there, then we'll run it. We'll run it in 2024. And it's looking like that here. 2024, looking like Canelo versus Jermall Charlo. That'll be Saturday, March 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. And if that's the case, I'm telling you, Cinco de Mayo weekend in Las Vegas is going to be crazy. Not just for this event. It looks like another event, large event, is being planned for that date, May 4th. So they better make those plans now. And those that are boxing fans, y'all better make those plans now. We're kind of seeing that, they will have the Box Fan Expo. For those that have been familiar with that, it's been an annual event, Box Fan Expo. You know what I'm saying? They usually have things planned. But right now, if you go on their website, they are saying the Box Fan Expo will be on Cinco de Mayo weekend at the Las Vegas Convention Center 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's right. So if they're gonna have the Box Fan Expo here on May 4th, oh man, I'm telling you, y'all better make y'all plans right now. Shoot, I may be making plans right after this midweek report's done. You know what I'm saying? Big ups to D Block, D Town, D City, D Ville in the building. Thanks for the support, dear my brother. All right. Android in the hair. He says first prime event on March 30th. Yeah, Tank possibly in April and Canelo in early May. That's 30 or 30. 3 events within 35 days. Bit worried with overlap with promotion. Seems a bit crunched together. I feel you on that. I feel you. So let's see how I'll be able to play it. Okay. Tank in April, probably be in middle of April. So it would kind of give like 3-week window, so to speak, right? So I'm gonna say a 3-week window in between all of those things, right? So you would have, the thing there with March 30th, like I said, it could be Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman, right? On March 30th. And then by April 13th, it would be Tank Davis. April 13th or April 20th would be Tank Davis. And then May 4th, you would have, Canelo Alvarez. Now, I mean, the thing about it is, like, I mean, you've had these type of events that have been kind of back to back to back in previous years. So you can still have the same thing here. I don't think that you're going to, have, I think it's going to be the same situation, where you're going to have those that, follow Tank Davis. They're going to support Tank Davis, regardless. And then you're going to have those that will support Canelo Alvarez, So that'll kind of like be how it is this year. I know that Canelo was on another network last May when he fought John Ryder. But, that was in May. And then that previous month, you had Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, So, and you see how big that event was there for Las Vegas and for the pay-per-view things. Over 1 million pay-per-view buys for that. So here with Tank in this next fight, they're going to definitely have a lot some support there for Tank Davis in this one. So we're going to see how that goes. And then for, Canelo Alvarez, he goes up against Jermall Charlo. They're going to make that, be a big event, be a very good event, very successful event, So I'm not, going to, sell them short in reference to this. They're still going to, handle business there on that front. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is that Tank Davis event looks like it will be playing in April. Like I said, man, shout out to my guy Just Do Boxing. He kind of leaked it out there. A few other people have leaked it out there. With Tank Davis, that his bout, it won't be Isaac Cruz. I'll be very thankful it's not Isaac Cruz. Okay, won't be Isaac Cruz. There's some people that thought it would be Jose Valenzuela or Rayo Valenzuela. He scored that knockout win over Chris Colbert. He said he was calling out Tank Davis, but it doesn't look like it's going to be Rayo Valenzuela. It's leaning towards Tank Davis versus the Ghost Frank Martin. Yeah. If that's the fight for Tank Davis against Frank Martin, that would be a really, really good thing there. A good little scrap, man. I would be, happy if that would be the fight. One, because it would, give Frank Martin some type of redemption of sorts, because remember, Frank Martin was going to be the opponent for Shakur Stevenson last year. But that whole thing got nixed. It got shot down. It got taken down, and there was a lot of negative energy towards Frank Martin for what happened. And at least for me, I didn't see why there was negative energy from that, because he said and stated all across the board that he was like, wait, he was ready for that fight, and then they just pulled the rug from under him, because all he did was just ask for a little bit more, and that's it. And then you had Shakur Stevenson end up fighting Edwin De Los Santos, and we all know what happened there. So now it's like, okay, you had Shakur Stevenson fight Edwin De Los Santos, and now Frank Martin, who are you going to fight next? That was the thing. Who was Frank Martin going to fight next? Because it was going to be like some type of quote unquote redemption for Frank Martin. That it had to be, oh, maybe it got to be somebody, or it should be somebody that's higher or better than Shakur Stevenson. Well, Tank Davis. That could be the fight. Tank Davis. So if you have him, going up against Tank Davis, that would be really, really something, that a really, really good event that would take place there. And I'm saying this too, with the Frank Martin joint, I'm thinking that it could be back in the DC area. Y'all seen what happened with Tank Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia at the Verizon Center, or whatever they call it now, over in Washington, D.C. Sold out over what, $5 million gate over there in D.C.? I say bring it back. Bring it back to D.C. Bring Tank Davis back to D.C. And you'll have another high profile fight and all that attention back in D.C. So, hey, Tank Davis versus Frank Martin in D.C. in April, I'll take it. I'll gladly take it. Of course, that's because of favoritism, since I'm based in the DMV area. So I don't have to go far or nothing. I don't have to have no flights going out to Vegas. None of that stuff, man. I'm telling you, I done had, 3 or 4 flights to Vegas last year covering events. Man, I need some events over in the East Coast. We need more of these big events over in the East Coast. Bring the stuff back over to the DC area. Let's get some fights here in New York, in the New York City area. Like, come on, man. y'all gotta help our brother out. Come on. But yeah, I mean, hey, Frank Martin, he's ranked there, pretty high in the lightweight rankings. He's ranked number 3 in the WBA. He's ranked number 6 in the WBO. Ranked number 5 in the WBC, and ranked 10 in the IBF. But they're being ranked number 3 in the WBA, and Tank Davis, holding the WBA title. That would be something that would be a really, really interesting fight there. Now, I know that there were some folks that kind of mentioned, well, maybe Tank Davis could fight Edwin De Los Santos. Listen. I'm gonna be real. Listen, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I've said this before. I'll say it again. We can't have Edwin De Los Santos in the ring having a world title shot again. Not this year. Come on. What we saw last year with Shakur Stevenson, that was, come on, man. That was Barthélemy versus Easter level stuff, man. Come on, y'all. We can't have that man. We can't have that man back in the ring like that. Nah. I tell you what. Listen. If y'all gonna have Edwin De Los Santos in the ring once again, why don't he have another fight with Ryo. How about that? Yeah, how about that one? Let's have that rematch. You know what I'm saying? Let's have that rematch take place. You know what I'm saying? Let's let's have Ryo versus De Los Santos once again. How about that? Let's have that rematch. We can have that rematch, but we can't handle it with De Los Santos going up against Tank Davis. Please don't. Come on. Listen. I wouldn't be able to take that. Some people talking about they wouldn't be able to take Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. I take that over Tank Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos. I don't know, but I mean, y'all. But the thing about it is, though, I mean, we'll kind of figure out more. We'll find out more about who Tank could fight next. Of course, y'all follow the Rise podcast. That's on YouTube. They're on every day, pretty much every day. You have senior Cobbs, Coach Squeeze, Coach Katie Ellis, and of course Coach Calvin Ford. It's on there. So y'all can follow them because it'll go through them, before it goes through anybody else. So if y'all wanted any news on Tank Davis, pretty much y'all can go through them. They'll leave a few hints here and there, but some things will kind of get leaked out here or there. But as far as like for me, I'm saying that Tank Davis versus Frank Martin, that would really be a good event. Now some are saying, hey, what about him potentially facing Devin Haney? Nah, at least definitely not next. Devin Haney will probably honor his WBC mandatory. Sandor Martin, get that out of the way, and then after that, he'd probably still be around 140 pounds, and you could potentially see a unification with Devin Haney, either against Teofimo Lopez if he, defeats Jermaine Ortiz, or maybe Subriel Matias. So we'll see. We'll see. But that kind of like is mainly what's going down when it comes to these boxing rumors or whatever it is, or those potential matchups. Like I said, we had Tim Tszyu maybe against Keith Thurman on March 30th. We could have Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo on May 4th. And we could have Tank Davis versus Frank Martin in April. Those are three interesting matchups. There, and I'm kind of in favor of pretty much all of them except for that first one. I'm still like Keith Thurman. That's a left field one for sure. That's definitely a left field one for sure. Keith Thurman as an opponent for Tim Tszyu at 154 pounds, and Tim Tszyu would be able to defend the WBO title. Yeah, that's kind of a real interesting one right there. So those are the three things there for that section. I know we got some action that's coming up on Saturday. That is headlined by the Jaime Munguia John Ryder fight there at super middleweight. You got Oscar Collazo versus Ray Gutierrez is going to be on the card. Gabriela Fundora, yes, the sister of Sebastian Fundora, will be in the title fight against Christina Cruz. You got Darius Fulgham, who's undefeated against Alante Fox. And you got a few other fights on that card. It's going to be 9 fights on the card that's going to be on the zone at the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. But like I said, headline by Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder. Of course, John Ryder, super middleweight contender. Like I said, lost to Canelo Alvarez last year. So that's the end. Always said rumors on Bud. He's definitely working out in Vegas with Bomac. Yeah, he's been working out in Vegas for some time. I haven't heard much of nothing. I haven't heard much from Bernie. You know, Bernie hasn't said much about like if they have anything else locked in. Um, the like I said earlier, the whole thing with Canelo. Nah, I'm not seeing it. Tim Tszyu, not seeing it. Uh, so I don't know who else would be out there. Maybe Jermall Charlo. But the thing about it is, where are they going to fit that fight for? The schedule. You know what I'm saying? You got this Amazon Prime thing coming out. You got those, those things where they say they'll fit 12 to 14 events. So where would they fit them in? Would it be in June? Maybe in June. I don't know. Like you said, I mean, you have the thing there where you said 3 events within 35 days. Hey, you'll have something in March, you'll have something in April, you'll have something in May, you could have something in June with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford versus Jermall Charlo, maybe. That would be a big event. That would be have some people talking, So maybe you could have that. It's just I just don't see it being something where it's going to be Crawford versus Boots. I know what Boots was talking about. That he said, hey, if you got a contract, send it out. I'll sign it. Haven't had much else after that. From things I've heard, like Boots may have something locked in already. We'll see. But he may be having the first defense of that IBF welterweight title, and it could be on that Tank card. Could be. We'll see. But yeah, you also said the thing there with Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder. Ryder's not going to be in easy out at all. No, he will not. I'm thinking this is going to be like similar to the outing that Munguia had against Derevianchenko, where that knockdown was pretty much the difference in that fight. If Derevianchenko didn't get knocked down, man, he probably could have won that fight. So you do have that. Hey, we need Terrence Crawford back in the ring ASAP. Hey, a lot of people want to see him. He's number 1 pound for pound fighter in the Boxing Source pound for pound rankings. Some people felt like he should have been the fighter of the year last year. I had it as now you went away. I felt that it was interesting that PBC chose Canelo as their fighter of the year and not Terrence Crawford as their fighter of the year. They did say Terrence Crawford had the performance of the year against Errol Spence, but not being the fighter of the year. It's kind of interesting. But back on the thing there with Terrence Crawford, like I said, the whole thing with Errol Spence not quite, didn't quite work out. Errol Spence, getting surgery. I also, felt like the thing with the rematch was, financials. Financials could have been a factor in that. So that would have nixed it anyway, regardless if Errol Spence was, in full 100% or not. I still think it would have been tough to try to, get the rematch, put together, given the circumstances as far as like financially maybe. So there's that. And so that leaves Terrence Crawford now looking for an opponent, like I said before. And he's, only looking for big fights. I mean, yeah, maybe a Tim Tszyu could, eventually be a big fight. Not sure. Canelo, of course, Canelo's the top guy, but Canelo's not interested in that. So that left Boots, where he could really establish something there in the welterweight division there, especially if he gets those, like he would have the win over Errol Spence Jr. and then turn around and defeat Boots after that. That would be crazy there in welterweight division. I mean, a lot of people kind of criticize Terrence Crawford's resume at welterweight for some time, before he ended up facing, Sean Porter. Sean Porter, like I said, he has one of Sean Porter, Kell Brook, and now Errol Spence. So you follow that up with the fight against Boots Ennis, who's been like highly respected in the boxing game. The guy that people say is next. You could stop that momentum if you were able to face Boots Ennis and be able to defeat him. But at least as of right now, we're not seeing that. It just looks like Terrence Crawford has his intentions on moving up to 154 at the very least and having a fight there at 154. Like if we thought it was going to be Errol Spence Jr., it's going to be Errol Spence Jr. It's not going to be Tim Tszyu. At least I don't think so. Like I said before, Tim Tszyu could be potentially fighting Keith Thurman. Now, if they could work out something where it would be Tim Tszyu and Terrence Crawford, that would be on March 30th. That would be something. But as of right now, it's not looking like all too good. That would be Terrence Crawford versus Tim Tszyu on March 30th in Las Vegas. It's looking like Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman on March 30th in Las Vegas. So we'll see. But with Terrence Crawford, like I said, it looks like it could be Jermall Charlo in June or maybe July. So I'd say that's it, because if you're only going to have big events there for Terrence Crawford and he's only going to have like a few more fights left in his career, it's got to be Jermall Charlo. And then after that, maybe find something else or see if it's going to be another fight with Errol Spence before the end of this year. And then after that, then you move forward and see what's happening for 2025. So we'll see. But that's the thing there with Terrence Crawford. But yeah, that's mainly what I had here for this midweek report, y'all. Shout out to everyone that's participated here on the live chat. Those that were able to join in, there, Android, D City Deville, Juice in the building, Shabbat, Sid, Just Do Boxing. It was able to jump in live. You got like a few things that are going on here within the sport of boxing. We're gonna see on the Boxing Source. We'll have a couple of interviews scheduled here. We're trying to lock down a few interviews. Trying to see if I could get with a couple of promoters there before they have something coming up. Also wanted to get Steve Johnson on with us. So wanted to get Steve Johnson after he had his pro debut over in Sacramento, California. So we're trying to lock that down here as well. So we're going to see if we can put that together, and I'll have something coming up here, I think this weekend before the Boxing Source podcast. That will be live Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll have a lot of stuff here for you within the next few days, and then plan to have more in store for y'all as far as like interviews are concerned and things like that. So be sure to catch that. But I give thanks for everybody that's listening live. If y'all haven't done so already, the support, hit the like button. Really appreciate it here in the Boxing Source. We got past 2,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel since my last live posting. So very thankful for that. Hopefully here, I know it's January, hopefully by the end of this year, we get to 4,000 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Just try to put in work for y'all, get the news and get my take on what's going on with the news and get these interviews out here for you and put in the work. But very thankful for your support. But that's it for me for the midweek report. we'll get some other takes on, what's going down as far as like stories breaking over the course of the week. If anything happens with that, I'll see if I'll drop something on there for y'all as far as like my take on it. But until then, I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.